So I'll go ahead and call this to order right now. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes and are there any questions?
Gotta approve the agenda first.
What's that?
Approve the agenda first.
Oh. I'm
Are you
sorry.
with us?
Yes, I'm. All right, let's do the agenda. Yeah.
I move we approve the agenda.
All right, do I have a second?
Yes.
Second from Jerry. All in favor of approving the agenda? All-
I move we approve the minutes.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes? Or wait, do I have a second? That's- You got a 14-month-old at home. You don't get all the sleep that you need.
That's right.
Take your time, take a deep breath.
All right, do I have a second for approval?
Sure.
Paul has a second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. All right, next up we have, do we have fire normally? All right, we have a report from our fire department.
There's no one from fire.
Okay, we do not have anybody currently here from fire. That always means they're out there busting their butts, putting one out for us right now, so. Yeah, we do have a report to go ahead and look over, and we will move on to, the police department and Officer Jensen.
Hello, happy to be here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. So this past month, statistically, we had an absolute great month where in all major crimes, we saw a decrease, which to me tells me that all the officers, specialty units, and focused enforcement that we've been doing has been working, targeting violent and repeat offenders and things of that nature. So we hope to continue that and continue to see, as even with the warmer weather coming, seeing the decrease in statistics would be, awesome in what we're going for. Our recruit class is going well. We have the officers in the FTO that will be graduating shortly and getting onto their own, which we're excited for that. I said this last month, but again, Patrol South has created a Facebook page. If you guys have the opportunity to go on to search for it, like it, follow it. We update things, some of the things that officers are doing in the community, community events and different things like that. It's just another way to stay in touch and to kind of know what's going on. And then lastly, this past Monday, all the CP teams got together and we handed out 4,000 flyers to all of the residents between Harry and Pawnee, from the eye over west to the river. And what we're trying to do is gauge the community's interest in creating a neighborhood association in that area, because currently we don't have one. So we're just kind of seeing who would like to be involved, who would like to lead it, things of that nature. So I personally walked about almost 10 miles that day, handing out flyers along with all the other officers. It was a beautiful day for it. We've already seen some return coming from that, but we're just now waiting for all of the data to come back so that we can assess it and look at it and see where to go from there, and continually just getting out in those communities and interacting with everybody and doing what we can to help you guys out. So at this time, that's all I have. Are there any questions or anything?
Questions from Dad? All right, see none. Questions from the audience? All right, see none. Thank you, sir, for all your work. It's nice getting out and knocking doors this time of year, I know.
We were very blessed with the weather. It was perfect that day. We didn't fight the storms or anything. We got there just before, so it was nice.
Hell yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, and I appreciate that, because the more neighborhood associations we have meeting, the more eyes we have on each other on the neighborhood, so we definitely need to support and increase the number of neighborhood associations we have, so. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe out there. All right, within the 4 minute call time, fire has come to the rescue. So the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Can I do it from right here, or do I just, okay. Hello, I'm Kevin Hyphen at Station 22. Don't have a lot of information. Just something to pass on. Sure you guys have seen the weather lately. So May's already been pretty busy. So kind of keep your eyes on the radar. Pay attention to tornadoes, obviously, but water in the streets. The old adage like, hey, if it's turn around, don't drown. That's real. So that's all I got. I'm short and sweet.
Appreciate that. All right, questions from Dan? Here.
What's the latest on the weather tonight?
Okay, so the last I had heard, everything was gonna stay west of us, but as you know, it can change drastically. Yeah, the last I heard it, looked at it was west.
So we can make it home and stay dry?
Where do you live?
Harry and Oliver.
Harry and Oliver?
Yes, sir.
When are you leaving? How soon?
We'll try and bust it.
Okay, you guys-
Jerry's on a bike.
You guys should be, oh, bikes, that changes everything. You guys,
Yeah.
there was quite a bit of weather this morning.
Yeah, I see that.
It was really
But
ramping
it
up.
came and gone quickly, so.
And Identity 22 responded to this fire, but the one on April 7th in the vacant building with extreme hoarding, did you guys go to that?
Yes,
So are any actions being taken to resolve that situation?
as far as I don't know what they've done as far as with the owner. I can tell you that, was it the shift after or the day after, someone came in and they boarded it all back up. Or no, and they did a pretty good job of it. I actually personally made that.
It's so dangerous for you guys.
Well, that's what we rely on our training and, luckily I work with a really good group.
Be nice if they could resolve it.
I don't know the answer to that one.
All right, any other questions from Dan?
Yes. And this is not a criticism. I simply have a question. A few weeks ago, I was stopped at a stoplight at 13th and Rock.
Okay.
And I was on 13th going east.
Uh-huh.
And they had the intersection, Rock Road blocked because there was a car in the turn lane that was not working apparently. And there was a fire truck there
Okay.
with that car. And while I was sitting there, two more fire trucks came. This is one car and I saw no smoke, no nothing. I don't know what was wrong with it. And two more fire trucks came and one didn't know apparently where he was supposed to go because he went south on Rock Road and the other one went, he tried to go north. And so there were three fire trucks there. And for a car, and I mean, who makes the decision on how many trucks to send?
So we have a certain set of guidelines that we follow for every certain type of call. And sometimes, as you know, we can only do with what the information that we have. So sometimes when whoever's calling on the other end of that line, they were just in a terrible accident, or maybe maybe not a terrible accident, but they're really worked up. So dispatcher is gonna get as much information as they can. And they have to get us on the road to help those people as fast as possible. So sometimes with us, we always gear towards the worst case. So, and I can't specifically speak on that
No,
one.
and this
because I
wasn't an accident. It was, one car that was stopped in the turn lane. And like I said, I don't know what they told the dispatcher, but it just seemed, like a terrible waste of manpower.
And I don't know
Three
exactly
fire
what that one was.
Okay.
I've been dispatched on the flip side of that to where it was nothing and then it was someone that needed everything we just.
The lady was walking around, so she wasn't hurt or anything. So anyway, I just wondered.
I'd like to say something to that. If that car happened to be on fire, or they thought it was, they might have needed 4 more trucks to do that, so.
And I would understand that if I didn't see
I'd
it.
rather have 4 there and not needed than not enough.
But I just didn't know.
No, that's fine. And ma'am, I don't know
Okay.
exactly. what happened.
It's not a criticism. I
No,
was.
no, I grew up holding a flashlight for my dad. I'm fine.
Not to top the lady, but I was at the quick trip at the Kellogg and Hillside. And I pulled in and there was a ambulance, fire truck. A regular pickup, but it was a fire, there were 4 police cars. And when I got inside, I said, what's going on? They said, somebody fell in the men's room. Now, whether they simplified it,
I'm guessing they probably did.
yeah.
And once again, I can't speak for every instance because I only worked a little part.
I understand, but it was, I mean, you would have thought we were getting ready to have a parade. Finally, the police, the fire left and the ambulance left, but it wasn't amusing, it was just interesting that we had all those vehicles around one building. Didn't mean to talk the story.
That's fine.
Any other questions?
I'd like to say that I feel like should be proud that we have as much equipment and response people as we do. God only knows what they're gonna be going to.
Sometimes you never know. There's a reason why I'm late tonight.
And you got a small town, that's only got
You
one.
look like you've been doing fire.
We were putting our shirts on while we were walking up there.
Well, we'd rather have more equipment than less.
All right, any other questions from them? All right, questions from the audience?
I would like to throw out that this gentleman was actually my lieutenant at the station I'm working at now. He's actually my captain.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Absolutely. In my
Yeah.
time, because I can get up and walk away from it anytime, I've been watching a lot of cops. Well, with cops comes the fire department. And you start seeing a lot of things that I questioned before, but after the fact, and you watch that, you start seeing things and you go, okay, that explains a lot of things, you know? It's like the fire department, most of the time will get to a place before anybody else. But then whoever originally gets there has to stay till the ambulance and get everything squared away before they can leave. So it puts more people there. So that's all I got. You guys are doing a good job.
I appreciate your
And
time.
the burn ban's off now, right?
What's today,
May 1st.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have bonfire tonight out west.
I'm only here, only this little area right here.
So people are out by Goddard, so
Oh my God.
we're good. Yeah, we're good. We got a big burn ban.
That's county, don't
Yeah.
worry about that. All right, well, any other questions from the audience? All right, thank you guys for all the work you're doing. You and WPD, you're always putting your lives on the line for us, so thank you, and keep going out there and kicking butt.
We need to record him saying that, so when it comes time for raises, you can go up there and say,
They
remember this?
They got, did you see how much we're paying them more than they got their rate? No.
I'm not here to complain about anything.
They're still underpaid as far as I'm concerned. They gotta drag somebody like me out of my house at a moment's notice, so.
We can do it.
Yeah.
I promise you,
I-
I'm right here to get it
I
done.
bet you can. I don't wanna put it to the test, but maybe that'll be a fundraiser someday. Fireman's carry. Yeah, fireman's carry.
Hey, anytime. I'm on.
All right,
You guys.
now, Rob with the library.
Alright, so like Mike said, my name is Robin. I'm from the Walters Branch Library in District 3. Something we're really excited about is the new experience passes for customers to borrow and place on hold. We're partnering with 11 area museums and attractions, and customers can borrow these family passes for 7 days to explore a local attraction at no cost. And participating attractions include Botanica, Cosmosphere, Exploration Place, Great Plains Transportation Museum, Mid-America All Indian Museum, Museum of World Treasures, Old Cowtown Museum, Sedgwick County Zoo, Tanganyika Wildlife Park, Wichita Art Museum, and Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum. So if you want to get on the list for any of those, just give us a call and we'll be happy to take care of you. The library's youth services team is gearing up for the summer reading program. This year, pre-readers, kids, teens, and adults, and adults will all have a fun challenge to participate in. Pre-registration for pre-readers, kids, and teens is on Monday, May 6th. And the program begins Thursday, May 23rd and ends August 1st. Complete information will be available at wichitalibrary.org/summer reading. And the library has also recently installed several new story walks of different parks. Residents can go visit the following parks and enjoy stories picked specifically for the surrounding community. Buffalo Park at 10201 Partner, Evergreen Park at 2700 North Woodlawn, Fairmount Park at 1647 North Yale, WB Harrison at 1300 South Webb, Linwood Park South at 1901 South Kansas. And then as of May 1st, so just today, we had new mobile printing services installed. So we're getting used to that. It's a new platform, but it works similarly to what it did before, so patrons shouldn't see a whole lot of issues. They can self-print from their mobile device and home computer to the library printers. But if you have questions or need a tutorial, you can ask a staff member, schedule a book librarian appointment, or visit our website. And then I also added in a specific plug for the Walters grant, because we're gearing up for our business programs for June, July, and August. The first Tuesday of each month, June 4th, July 2nd, and August 6th will be all ages game night, where everyone is invited to come in for board games of all kinds. The second Tuesday of each month, June 11th, July 9th, and August 13th will be community craft circle. We're encouraging people to bring whatever project they're currently working on, but we will also have a small supply of activities for those that need them. Our stash will include extreme dot-to-dot puzzles, adult coloring pages, crochet hooks, yarn, and a few small diamond paintings. And then lastly, the fourth Tuesday of each month, June 25th, July 23rd, and August 27th will be Doc and Talk, where we watch a documentary on the library's streaming service, which is Canopy, and hold a short discussion following. And that's what's coming up.
All right, well, questions from Dab?
On the
Yes.
passes, they're for a week,
For a week,
and
yes.
can they do all of these?
It's 2 passes can be out per library.
You know, I mean, can one pass be used for several things or just one thing?
Just
Okay,
I have a question on their family passes. How many
Yes.
people can you take?
so it depends on each one. Most of them you can take at least 2 adults and 2 children. I know some of them, like I'm trying to think. I think it's the Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum. You can get up to 10 people in at a time. So it kind of like varies, but each one is like super.
It's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a good deal.
So does each library have their own, or do you have to go to the main library down?
Yes, we each have a stash of ones that you can put on hold, and we also do have what we were calling lucky day passes, which are ones that you cannot put on hold, but are just on our shelf. So if you happen to come into that branch that day and we have one, you can pick it up. Like today, Walter's branch had Tanganyika and Inspiration Place come back, so we were able to get it.
How does the funding work?
We got funding through the Wichita Foundation. I believe.
Kind of a neat program.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
How did you determine which museums and parks that you would go?
That's an awesome question that is above my pay grade. I think that probably the best person to ask about that would be Sarah Cottrell. She's our collections manager, and her and Kathy Hickey, who is also in technical services, worked on it together. I think that they just were trying to get as many Wichita attractions that they thought were like the most popular and that they could get funding for at the same time. So it's kind of a mix between those 2 thoughts.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? All right, it's, go ahead, Jerry.
I have another one.
Yes.
In my neighborhood, it'd be a great way to get my members engaged, to get them out of the house and go do something. If you can come and, we already discussed it, you can show up for my meeting, that'd be really, really beneficial. We can kind of stir them up a little bit. Summer's here, they're still sitting in the house, or not doing what we should be all doing.
3rd Mondays, right?
And, yeah, the 3rd Monday of the month, yes, ma'am. It
I
really,
got
I
you.
think,
You're on
I'm
that.
really gonna push them to try to get out and do stuff,
Yes.
at least mow the yard, you know,
Yeah.
something. But thank you, Robin, I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, yeah, these are all great museums. Take the family to a number of them myself, so I really appreciate you doing this for a lot of people in our community. And also all you do, you're my librarian. My wife brings the baby over there quite a bit for story time, so they all enjoy it over there. So thank you, Robin. for-
He's right next to my pharmacy too.
All right, Public Works. This is the first time we're doing this, right? A monthly update, or is this the every third?
No, this is-
Quarterly update, we've been doing it for 2 years.
Oh, yeah, there have been discussions.
Oh,
Oh, really?
that's not correct.
Steve Dagenhart, I'm the construction manager with Public Works Engineering, here to give an update on projects, under construction currently in District 3, as well as some others that we have, in design. The first one that's somewhat under construction, the, I-135 sanitary sewer relocation. Our contractors completed their, utility exploratory excavation work. They ended up having to kind of switch gears a bit on with their subcontractor who's gonna perform their dewatering in that area. So it's kind of pushed the pipe installation back to start probably in June, where initially we were kind of expecting them to be here in May, getting started, but it's gonna be likely in June. Over in Platt Park, the bridges, reconstructing a lot of the bridges there that had some washout behind the structure. Combining two of the bridges into one in a different location. But right now, construction's underway and looking to be completed in the third quarter of this year. And I'll talk about some other things going on at Platt Park here in a little bit. Our pavement preservation program got a lot of work underway with our asphalt overlay treatment. 47th Street from hydraulic going east to the Ark River. That actually is probably, the overlay is already complete. I think just finished up here within the last week. And so just need pavement markings on it. So
Done.
here it's
Done.
done.
There you go.
All right, well, good. I could have got a better update on that, but yes, so that one's done. Work's currently underway on Southeast Boulevard. There's gonna be 2 segments of work. One being right now, it's active between, I think, Harry and hydraulic. Then there's a big area that we're gonna skip from hydraulic down to Wassel, because that's where that sewer project I just referenced, that's where the new pipe is gonna go. So we just wanna get the sewer project done first and then come back probably, if not 2025 and maybe 2026, and do the rest of that section of Southeast Boulevard. But in addition to hydraulic, from Harry to hydraulic, they're gonna skip and then do Wassel south to basically the canal. And so that work will be basically in progress on the north end, and they'll move to the south end as soon as they wrap that north end up. Also under construction, Watson Park looks to complete the new playground here on the west side, should complete that in early June. And then BNR, a lot of the work down at the wastewater treatment plant number 2. A lot of that work is underway, and look to have actually 2 more packages that deal with the ultraviolet improvements and some other solids handling and such. Looking to have contracts awarded in May, as well as a bid opening later in May too, for 2 different packages on that thing. And then Patrol East, looks like they're really looking to maybe have a walkthrough here in May to wrap construction up and finish everything up, all punch list items and whatnot in June of this year. Talk about some other projects under design. I mentioned Platt earlier, looking to open bids for the playground equipment, dog park related items in June of this summer here, did that. The multimodal facility, really citywide type benefit there, but multimodal facility is going to open bids here. Bid will be due June 7th. And then currently, we're also going into underway in design of Wichita Bicycle Master Plan. Currently in phase 2 of that master plan update, which is, community engagement. So there's few ways to get involved on that. There's currently an online survey and mapping exercise, and I think we've sent some information to Becca on that. But there's currently an online survey and mapping exercise will take place through June 1. You can go to wichitabicycleplan.com, www.wichitabicycleplan.com to see that survey and that mapping exercise. And then there's also a lot of upcoming in-person scheduled events that will be able to really seek input from the public on that plan and the update that they're looking to complete. But anyway, that's kind of where they're at right now, is phase 2 in community engagement, so. But
Bicycle plan, there's a PowerPoint behind your public works update in your packets. That has
and with that, that's all I have for an update. Be happy to answer any questions.
Two questions. Cloud Park, is the Corps engineer involved in that because that's a natural drainage creek, or do you guys have say over everything?
Anything, I'm gonna go on a limb here, I think, I'm not directly involved with it, but just probably my understanding, anything that would involve the creek and whatnot would involve the Corps, but yes, I mean, if there was any floodplain areas and any work being done in the floodplains, we would certainly have them engaged, and there'd be a permit process to go through for any kind of items there.
Second question is, the Wichita Police Department East Patrol Station, that's the new building, right?
Yes, that's fine,
Thinking in Pinecrest?
yes.
That's the bottom of the second page. I drive by there frequently, and I was so excited when I drove by and didn't see power lines going to the building. I thought, oh gosh, they went solar. But you didn't go solar, you went,
Probably underground.
yeah, but wouldn't it have been a good opportunity to at least have a limited amount of solar to show the world and the city that it's feasible?
Thank you.
Yeah, the Westland Library, I think, is going to have solar.
So you're slowly moving into it. Yeah. And I understand the police building, you don't want a power failure, you want to have.
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the
But I
specifics.
thought, you know, if you had half solar or just the outside lights, you know, or whatever, just something to appease the public and the taxpayer. But I'm not being critical, I just was surprised that it wasn't some concept.
Steve, do you know when they're supposed to start on that stupid hotel at Maple and McLean?
I don't know. I've seen, or
I'm
I really
assuming-
haven't seen, I've seen some meetings on people's calendars to know that it's ongoing, but I don't know.
Cause you guys will have to go in there first.
We'll have a potentially part of it, sure, if there's any water line or sewer line work that has to be done for it. A lot of times at private building construction, they're all responsible for it.
It's just gonna mess stuff up really bad for quite a while. Access to downtown. Terrible.
I don't know enough to know any impact on the plane or anything, so
Yeah.
sorry.
Last Jeff Long.
I just caught that.
Oh, I'm just gonna mention, I would buy Pinecrest today, all the fences are down, it looks like they're doing yard work now. It should be opened up pretty soon, right?
Yeah, they'll have to do their punch list walkthrough. They'll have to get, the, MABCD to do all final inspections and whatnot. So once that's done, then they can have occupancy of it.
And no malicious damage was created, whether the building in or anything, kept low profile.
I've not heard of anything.
Councilman knows my question. When we moved into our development 26 years ago, we had dirt streets and raw water. And the wonderful people who lived there.
Speak
decided
up.
that we should have city water because it's so much better, which got us annexed, which is fine. Actually cut down some of our costs. And then we had streets. We were the last asphalt cap before they said it's gonna have to be curbs and gutters from now on. So that kind of time danger. How bad does that pavement have to deteriorate before you at least come by and put something on it to make it smooth again instead of all rocky?
Sure. there's certainly challenges with with funding level. It's actually come a long way, and certainly with the council member support and the rest of the city council have really certainly bought into putting a lot more money into the streets. We've got a computer model that takes into account all the streets throughout the city of Wichita, looks at current condition, pavement rating, how bad the failures are, how much remaining service life is left. Also has to take into account what type of treatments are available for that street, what we would typically do, and then try to prioritize again across the city with how much funding is available. I know probably 10, 11 years ago, we were $5 million, I think, annually, and only touching, I want to say maybe 11 lane miles. And now we're up to 13 million and touching, I wish I knew the number standing here, but certainly touching many more lane miles throughout the city. So, what particular area are you in?
I'm at 63rd Night Drive.
Okay.
Did you get an email back from, Gary about it?
Did I?
Yeah.
About the streets?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'll check on that.
Well, listen, I've been asking for what, 2 years?
Well, I asked him
And
about
I,
it.
and I understand. It's not ditching on you.
No, I hear you.
It's just that
I just want to make sure.
if it was sandpaper, they wouldn't be able to grade it. It's so rough. And
I just want to make sure you get.
I'm not saying it's this kind of rough. I'm saying, there's nothing but the aggregate
Sure.
showing.
One of the things that we've added to our tool bag, if you will, is a preservative seal that
Thank
let's
you.
say your street doesn't get, well, it's a liquid seal, but what it really helps do is
Like a surface.
No, it's not even a surface. It helps keep, so that asphalt relies on real small sand particles and then the gravel, and it's the interlock of all those large and small particles that really make that perform. That preservative seal I'm talking about is a liquid that really helps keep those small aggregate on there so it doesn't become rough in the future. So
The only thing they've ever done is crack seal.
And I remember when those streets were paved, and I know we at least had improved subgrade and things like that. So I would say if it's primarily just surface related and texture surface related, that might fall a little bit lower on the list of priorities and something that's exhibiting more structural failures and such.
Who maintains this list?
That our street maintenance group is the one that looks at it across the city, so.
The most popular person that I'm talking to.
Back when I could screech at Arthur Obleckner, but he retired.
Anybody else from that with questions?
Thank you.
Questions from the audience?
Yes.
I have two things. Griffith School by Clap Park. Are you guys gonna put any parking in because they have moved their offices from the north side? They're moving them to the south side, which is gonna require more parking. They're gonna, from what I understand, they're gonna put a little bit of parking in, but it ain't gonna be enough for what they've got. So that's something you guys might think about up in that area, because I don't go down there during the school time, but you can't hardly go down from what I'm hearing. Bluff, is that
Yeah,
Bluff?
that's the school just on the west side of Clap, north
Right,
of
yeah.
Mount Vernon, yeah.
Yeah,
Public Works and Engineering meet monthly with USD 259, talk about their needs at different locations throughout the city. I know that we had looked at this location within the last couple of years. I can't remember what improvements were gonna come out of that, if the city was gonna just kind of evaluate what they were wanting to do, or if we were able to be part of any solution to that.
Yeah, there is, that's where the dog park would be going, it's just down from there, so there will be a shared park. So it'll help relieve some of the stress from the streets.
I appreciate, if you wanna make some money, rent some benches, put them in the Grandview Park, because they're gonna be doing the dog park. The all access park on the road, I'll bet you it all ends up at the same time. You can make a fortune with people watching what's going on.
Yeah, second night.
and then my second part, and this really doesn't have anything to do with you, but you're the man with the stroke, so you can get this done. If they don't do something with 135, the bridge, from, what is that, roughly Kellogg to 21st Street, that thing's going to collapse. It is deteriorating. Every time I go across it, it's a little bit worse.
I believe KDOT's already doing a study and trying to decide what they want to do, how they're gonna repair that, what future needs are, so they are in the middle, in that process.
It's getting rough and I ain't slowed nobody down though. They go down Paul Street at 80.
Anybody else from the audience?
Yeah, it's coming up.
All right, well, again, we appreciate all you do. All right, on to scheduled items, there are none. So off agenda items, anybody from the public that wishes to speak on any issue not on the agenda, please, now's your opportunity. Yes, sir. Anybody?
Okay.
Please state your name and address if you're comfortable. You'll have 5 minutes.
Okay. My name is Todd Newland, Newlin. I'm with the Kansas Firefighters Museum. I'm actually the president of the board with the museum. And my partner over there, that's David Wilson. He's the recording secretary for the board. That was one of the why he brought up the question as to how the decision was made on which museums were chosen for. You know, we kind of refer to ourselves as the hidden gem of Wichita, kind of the one of Wichita's best kept secrets. So I'm kind of up here to let you know that we're going to try to attend these meetings on a regular basis, try to be a little more involved on this, and to involve or ask you, you guys are more than welcome to come down. Unfortunately, we're 100% volunteer driven. So the only time we are open is on Saturdays from 11 to 3. So maybe down the road, if we get more popular, then we can be open on a little more regular basis. One of the other things that we're trying to accomplish right now is right next to the museum is our Kansas Fallen Firefighters Memorial. And we're trying to get it recognized as the state's Fallen Firefighter Memorial. Over the years, we've had a little bit of pushback from that's been quite a bit some time ago. Our plan is to work a little more closely with city officials, county officials, and state officials to try to get it recognized as the official state Kansas Fallen Firefighters Memorial. Hard to say all at once sometimes. So.
All right, any questions from the audience?
You might not know, you might know where it is.
It is at 1300 South Broadway. We're just on the other side of the railroad tracks, fire station number 2.
Your hours, again, 11 to 1.
11 to 3 on Saturdays.
And it is neat.
Todd, and what I'd like to say, again, I'm David Wilson. If any of the board members want to come in a collective, if we want to do something, guys want to take a tour, as a board or something, we can maybe be down some evening. It doesn't have to be on Saturday. You can put it together. We can figure out an evening time to go down. That way you guys know what we do and what we stand for at that particular building.
What's a good way of contact?
We have an email address, Kansas Firefighter Museum @gmail.com, and our phone number is 264-5900. My cell 316-390-1951. Our Todd's
316-650-7960.
And I'm sure Ted can get a hold of you guys too, he's not smashed.
no, it's not.
When the neighborhood association was active there, we used to do a lot of stuff with the museum, and it was really, Brad, we should consider doing like a neighborhood night out event.
Yeah.
We could do that with the park right there. I'd help you guys.
Right.
That'd be fun, that's what we're being on.
South Central Progressive.
Thursday,
Thursday the 11th.
Thursday,
Thursday the 11th from 9 to 11, 9 to noon. We have an open house. We're in with, I can't think of the lady's name to call right now. So it's gonna be
Karen?
open.
is it Karen Caston?
I took a nap.
I wish I could use that too.
When you get my age, you can use that.
I'm about there, I'm good. All right, any questions, any other questions from that? Any questions from the audience? Yeah, we've been, talking to some of the state legislators about getting that designation changed. If anybody is, familiar with it, every year they do the, firefighter memorial in October.
Yes,
Early
first Sunday of October.
And I encourage you guys, we'll make an announcement here to go down and just truly understand the, you know, the loss and how, the meaning behind a lot of the firefighters have given the ultimate sacrifice, and every firefighter does sacrifice at some point, to some degree, but it really is a moving ceremony, and it really kind of keeps things in perspective for you. So we are looking, because it's around, people come from around the state. I think it was 2001, because we've been looking into it. State designated a site in Topeka for the state's firefighter memorial, and they have not acted on it in 23 years. So there is nothing there for them. And yet every single year we have people from around the state, departments from around the state come and participate in the ceremony. So we are looking at that, and also ways to help increase revenue for the area. We need to increase the wall, unfortunately, at some point. So there's a lot of moving parts with this. I appreciate you guys coming and speaking to us today. And this is something that we're gonna follow up with, see if there's some state funding that could help us, private funding as well to help go into the museum and into the park. So this is a project that we'll be following up on for the next year or so, and we'll try to make it more of a point to advertise you guys too, because I know there's a lot of little hidden gems around South Wichita like this that don't get their fair share of attention. So we'll be in touch, and maybe we'll come down and do a video or something and try to put that on social media as well, and just, again, bring some attention to you guys.
I intend to show up, and I'll put it on Facebook where I was at when we're at.
Yeah. I mean, I got about as many followers as you do, I think, so I'm not a social media guy, but we can do what we can with it, and definitely spread the love. So, and are you guys going to be open during Neighbor Fest? This next Saturday?
It's during a couple hours.
Okay, yeah, there's a festival coming out, and I'll give you guys the details at the end of the meeting, but not this upcoming Saturday, but next Saturday at Lincoln Park, there will be kind of a.
May 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will be, that's what.
Okay, that's what he was referring to, all right. Yeah, so we'll make sure to drive attention there, and appreciate you guys coming and showing up tonight.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you guys for all you do for us. All right, anybody else from the audience? Richard, yes, sir.
Do we have any kind of trash program for the homeless? I'm not entirely against tent cities, but I'm entirely against the trash buildup. And they've set fires because of it, yada, yada, yada. Is there some way that we can, I don't know how you do it,
Been addressing it more that way here lately, trying to get dumpsters in place where it makes sense. Yeah, it's.
I like the way the railroad did them up behind my shop on North Mosley. I kept telling them guys, I said, if you guys keep letting them throw the trash off out here, they're gonna come through and clean it up. They wiped out 9 camps. One of them had a log built in there. They just bulldozed it all the dog.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Cleaned it up.
So we do, we look at it, and where it makes sense, we try and get some trash services out there and keep it clean. Keep it clean, because you're right, it leads to rodents, it leads to health issues, it leads to fires, so we've got to be practical about how we do this.
Keep that in mind about them cars.
Yes. right?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of concern about homelessness around the state and the country.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull decorum on us really fast. This is not the board agenda time, that comes later. This was public agenda.
Okay.
Richard, did you have anything else you wanted to add to your comment?
Nothing you can't wait.
We can have a conversation on this at the end, but we do wanna respect staff time as well.
Any other questions from the audience? All right, we'll talk about that. We'll get into that one. All right, we'll move on to new business. We are going to talk budget, my favorite topic.
It involves everything, right?
Yes, it involves everything.
I'm gonna put this poster behind you, so everyone's.
You can't just come and make an appearance. That's the phone. Yeah, well, they can gaze upon my beauty and just.
Yeah,
budget
yeah,
from-
yeah.
Yeah.
What color suits you best?
Yes.
Well, good evening. I'm Elizabeth Poultry. I work in the finance department and I'm here to provide an update to all of you about the budget process. This is maybe the first time you've been thinking of it this year. If you really want to dive in and learn more, we've already had 4 city council workshops about the budget, and all of that information could be found on the City of Wichita YouTube or also on our budget website. So, what I'll be covering tonight in relatively quick fashion is, our financial outlook for the City of Wichita, and I'll be focusing on the general fund. The community survey results and how those relate to the budget. And then also what we've done so far with resident engagement and what we expect to do between now and budget adoption. And if you're interested, this QR code can get you to the budget website.
You just done that. Try hitting the connect button on the back.
Okay. Ah, well, I did something. Sorry, maybe I should just
I can
do the Becca.
No worries.
Next. All right, so we're on slide 3 now.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay, great. Not as bad as the time I was doing a city council workshop and the computer restarted in the middle of it. Just read this like restarting. I'm like, oh my, it's like system update. Oh, goodness. Okay. Great, yeah, the first question. Okay, great. So the focus of the budget process is usually on the general fund. That's our fund that includes most of the services that people think of first when they think of local government services. So on the left, you'll notice the largest part of the budget is public safety. So police and fire are 50%, and then also public works and utilities is a large part of the general fund budget. And that's important to keep in mind as we talk about the survey results. And then on the right side, the right pie chart is looking at the budget by the types of expenditures. So nearly 3/4 of the general fund budget is salaries and benefits. So any change in wages has an outsized impact on the general fund budget. It's also good to remember that, especially in the fire budget and also in police, those budgets are mostly people. So the fire budget's 95% salaries and benefits. So any changes to wages or benefits there has a big impact on the budget. Next one. So on this is the revenues that make up the general fund. And if you are a repeat tab member, you probably already did this before. I apologize, but property tax is the largest source of revenue for the general fund, which is probably what most people would guess. But it's about 36% of the budget this year. Our second largest source of revenue is franchise fees. That is a tax on utilities for their ability to operate in the right of way. It's a very volatile revenue source. And then there's one slice of this pie chart that hasn't been in the pie chart before, and that's interest earnings. So revenues are not forecasted to grow as fast as expenditures during this budget period. And the two big reasons is that interest earnings have peaked and they'll be declining during this period. And that is really just related to overall interest rates. And then technology is slowing revenue growth, and that impacts franchise fees. So electricity, natural gas, gas tax, things like that. So kind of the way it goes. The next one. So we're expecting, so this is the outlook for the general fund during the planning period. So for a number of years, we had a surplus, which is to say, expenditures were less than revenues. That happened for a couple reasons. The primary reason was interest earnings. Interest rates were increasing quickly, and so we had more revenue from interest earnings than we expected. And then the other reason is because we had a lot of vacant positions that we weren't able to fill during that period. So we had a surplus that was not anticipated. And so we took the funding from that surplus and put it to a stabilization reserve for times when we have budget challenges. However, you'll see that there's more space on the right side of the deficit in the future years than there is space on the left side. So there's not enough funding in that stabilization to solve those problems. So that's why I have a job. That's why we're here to budget. So we're expecting wider deficits in response to all the position vacancies. Wage rates have increased, and that has an impact on the budget. And then, as I mentioned before, interest rates are falling. So next one, just as text, we're having increasing wage rates. Again, most of which are on public safety, which is a high priority in this area in the survey. And we'll go to that next. And then there's slower revenue and the declining interest earnings. So it's everything is happening, and we're expecting this impact to really hit us in 2020. With these reserves, the good news is that we do have some time. Told someone I was out of the office and they're like, I'll let you know if there's an emergency. I'm like, I'll be back by 2026. So, we do have some time to adapt and consider other options as we move into that time period. So that's the good news. Next one. So on to the survey. So we're doing a community survey every year now. It was out in the field last year in September. And so the survey results are over there, and I'll be on the next slide. Our goal during the stated goal during the budget process is to continue to provide highly rated services in the orange quadrant, which is the upper right. Those are high importance, high quality services. And then to focus the budget process on the magenta quadrant, which is the lower right, which those are high importance, but lower quality services. And these have been guiding resident engagement so far. So next. So what's remarkable about this is that for people who responded for the survey, crime prevention, the question that was asked is, what do you think the city of Wichita should be focusing on in the next 2 years, which really connects really nicely with the budget process. And so 95% of people said crime prevention is something we should focus on the next 2 years, which is, nearly unanimous. Followed, drinking water is also very high, as is street repair, police services. So things you'd probably, universally people say are important, nearly universally people say are important things for us to focus on. So those things in the magenta quadrant are things that are rated as lower quality. So those are things that are of a higher focus in the budget process because there's so much importance placed on them in the survey, but then the quality is lower. So we had 2 social media town halls in April, and one was focused just on street repair, and then one was focused on crime prevention. And that's really been the focus of this budget process so far. It's really, we provide so many different services that, this has really been an interesting tool for folks. And there's, for this one, you can go to actually wichita.gov in the city manager's website. There's a neat visualization tool there, and you can look at the results by district. And that's really pretty captivating. Take a look. It's pretty interesting. The next one, Rebecca. So resident engagement so far, I mentioned we have done the 2 in-depth social media town halls. The budget simulator will launch probably in a week or so. We're finalizing that. And that'll be an opportunity to increase and decrease different services. At this point, the budget deficit that we're looking at is in the neighborhood of 4% of the budget, which is pretty significant. It doesn't, I mean, I guess it doesn't sound like a huge number. You know, if you were a kid and you got a 96% on the test, that would be outstanding, but we have to balance the budget every year, and it's really hard to do that without impacting service levels. So it's your opportunity to try your hand at that. And then we'll also, we'll be visiting all the jobs in there. So thankfully, as I mentioned, thankfully we are about our budget for 2025. So when the city council reviews the budget in July and August, they're approving the budget for 2025. And for the general fund, it needs to be balanced. Thankfully, that budget for 2025 is getting close to being balanced. So we do have that opportunity to invest our time in process improvement. These are things that we'll be doing on the staff side. Looking at service efficiency and effectiveness, using technology more, and data-driven decision-making, and then also dusting off the cost recovery pyramid. We talked about that quite a bit, maybe about 10 years ago, and I know the park department is already looking at that this summer, regarding, I mean, our cost of providing services has gone up, so adjusting rates. And also, I think the planning department has new rates that are going to see also. Just and these things are more on the city council side of things at the higher level. But just what are our overall strategies and goals for the 2026 budget? The community survey will be back out in the field again this fall, and then I think that we've heard that certain services are a priority, but looking more at the outcomes associated with them, the objectives, those sorts of things, digging in more on each of those services. So that's the work that we have ahead. And that's all of my slides that I have for tonight. So thanks for your time. And if you have, I guess, Becca's the agenda manager, so yeah, if you have any questions, I can.
Questions from that?
Yeah. Yes.
Elizabeth, how did we pay for the police bonuses? What pool of money, pocket of money did that come out of?
It's in the general fund. So it was those, I guess everyone knows. The police bonuses, were paid at the end of 2024. And those were paid out of the general fund.
So like from vacancies?
Yeah.
Money left, because I know that the budget is always so tight.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of vacancies. It's
So that's how
remarkable.
we were paid for.
Yeah.
Employee
Part-
position.
Yeah, part public works and police probably all have 10 to 15 to 20% vacancies. And those are some of the biggest departments. So yes, it's unfortunate situation of why do we have a surplus? And it's like, yeah, trying, yeah.
Any other questions from that?
Yes.
I know you need public safety. But is anybody on the staff qualified to figure out what we need to do with the land that's sitting idle in the city? I'm not saying you can stop the growth out, but the more you build out, the more buildings you have to have for fire, police, you have to have trash trucks, you have to have service trucks. And you drive into the city and it looks beautiful. You see all these new developments, but then you get into the city and we have got a lot of buildings that are sitting idle. And I've always wondered if we have a good land use policy in effect to make them more appealing for people to come in, tear them down and build something new.
Yeah, and so I'm not a land use expert, but I do have somewhat an answer to your question. There's a comprehensive plan that's about 10 years old, and that is the land use plan for Sedgwick County and the city of Wichita. And then there are area plans within that, and there is one that's called Places for People, and that covers the area that's roughly, I want 130, no. It's the court, but it's not just downtown. It's like 29th Street North, 31st Street South, and maybe Woodlawn to West Street. It's a large area. But one of the, back just to overall to land use patterns and such is, we do get, it's probably about time for the comp plan to be updated again. It's been about 10 years and things have definitely changed. So that is something that the planning department has requested during the budget process. Is, you know, some support for updating the comp plan. And so the Places for People too, they've been attempting to, so.
We'll put Mike on that.
If you've seen those plans, it seems like they're always talking about infill development, which is kind of where you're utilize what's there rather than create more deserts. The one thing about the budget that I guess I have a question about, nearly everyone I talked to has gotten the proper exact statement. If you didn't get one, you're lucky. If you did, it went up, I would say substantially, 8% or more, roughly. If the middle of it stays the same, it seems like you're going to have an influx of tax money.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for that?
Well, we are expecting a modest increase in valuation. We have residential valuation and also commercial, and those behave a little bit differently when it comes to changes from year to year. But you have to keep in mind that in public safety, we've had some double-digit increases in wages.
Absolutely. I think
And so, it's been, I always, sometimes people will stop me and say, how much is the general fund budget? I'll be like, oh, it's 200 million, it's not anymore. And that's mostly what's driven that. So it's, yeah, and yeah, it is, it's been a difficult time on the wage side.
Yeah, we get hit with a couple of different other issues too, inflation. My first year on the council, it's like every week we had, this project's going over cost because of materials and whatnot, so we had to rebuild it or we had to accept the price increase on it there, so a number of issues, but yeah, we gotta also pay the competitive wages. Fire deserved it after all those years of it being stagnant. PD deserved it after all those years of being stagnant, help with the shortfall, because like she said, we had employment savings because we can't hire and keep enough people at the wages we had, so if we gotta do what we gotta do for public safety and make sure that we pay people what they're worth and what'll keep them around, that's what we did. But yeah, this is the effects of it that we're facing here. But like Elizabeth also said, the last couple of years we've had a surplus, and we've made sure to take most of that surplus and put it in reserves. When we get to the points where we're in a deficit, we can step it down, because what I hear from you guys more than anything is where are the services? We used to have our streets swept every 3 or 4 months. Now it's once a year. So we got to be mindful of that going forward. What is on the chopping block? What is not on the chopping block? Also wait and understand. They do a great job. They also give us a really safe estimate, I think, to work from on a lot of the budget issues. And it kind of clarifies the deeper we get into the year. So we just got to do the best we can with the information we have at the time. And part of the public engagement is what is important to you guys to protect. I'd like to point out on the sheet that animal control is at 50% of importance, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
60%, 60% importance. And 41% of quality right now. We're bumping that up, but 60% importance, which is on this side of the line. I would say in our district, it's significantly above 60% importance. So it does break down different district by district, but we need you guys to engage and tell us what is important to you. What do you guys want to make sure that we keep and invest in, and what are you guys okay, not necessarily okay with us taking the foot off the gas with, but what are the priorities essentially that we want to make sure to protect? So plenty of opportunity to engage on that for the next couple of months.
Yes, no, we're focused and we're committed to, you know, someone once said, they were like, we looked at your budgets and we can't believe you pull it out every year. And it's like, we do, you know, it's like, it does get done every year. And so we're committed to that, not just for next year, but planning ahead into the future. Because we know, I mean, I think the best thing that a city does is to be in the background of everyone's lives and to have it be the background that people want in the background, as opposed to being right in front of you saying, these things are all going to be changed. So that's something that is important to us. So we'll keep doing the work. And if you think of something after the fact, brushing your teeth or what have you, certainly email Becca and she will connect with you. Thanks for everything you do. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You don't see her out of the office from the season, so this is a rare appearance.
On my way to a baseball spot.
Oh, yeah, let's hope it goes off, right?
Yeah.
All right, next up, Penny. She is going to be talking about some transit issues. She is the acting director of transit. She came over after Mike Pam left a couple of months ago. She's been doing a great job for us, and I don't know if she plans on staying in transit or going back to public works or.
Great.
Well, yeah, thank you for allowing me on your agenda this evening. Like Councilman Wilbur said, I'm Penny Feist, Acting Director of Wichita Transit. Here today to talk to you about a plan that we have in place right now, which we call Wichita Transit Network Plan. Sometimes you'll hear us refer to it as the time. And our next slide shows you our agenda, which is going to be really quick. I won't take up too much of your time. I'm going to let you know where we are in the project. I'm going to tell you some of the things that we're talking about currently, and then I'm going to ask you for a little bit of your help. And this next slide shows you that we're right in the middle of our timeline. So the blue there on the left, leading up to this, the consultants who are engaged with us have been doing what's called a state of the system. It's basically just what's your baseline, what are you operating today, and what does it look like? And I should probably back up and let you know the reason that we were doing this study is something that we do on a fairly regular basis because, like many things, attitudes and expectations of a service change over time. So we want to check in with the community to understand, you know, how do you feel about the current level of service? What would you like to see in the future? So that's the purpose of the study. And currently, we do have some concepts developed that we'll be sharing with the community and asking for their feedback on. And now that we're entering May, there will be a series of public meetings and outreach opportunities to engage not only current writers, but people who are like, you know, I would ride the bus if, and to hear what that if is. And I have a good idea, I saw his face, but we'll get into that. Yeah, and then later this year in the fall, we'll have a final report based on all of this community feedback, based on some industry best practice, and we'll begin to talk about what would it look like if we implemented it. And obviously everything has a price tag, so how much would it cost to do so? On our next slide, talking about some of the concepts which are really what comprise the bulk of the study, ridership trends. So we know that a certain population rides the bus today, and they depend upon it for things like work and school and medical appointments, and a lot of things that are really important. So we want to make sure that we protect the service for them at the very least. We want to identify the things that we're doing well and the things that we can do better on. We want to understand the demographic of the community that we're serving. We want to know where people are going. Where are the activity centers? How can we help support the destinations of the trips that people want to take? And like I mentioned, we're looking at industry best practice, and we're also looking at community feedback. So the key themes is increased service where we know people ride the bus. We have a partnership with Wichita State University. We see a lot of trips from Wichita State downtown. We see a lot of trips from Wichita State WC Tech. We see a lot of people getting up and down the Broadway corridor. And from there, it's kind of hit and miss. We see a lot of people using it to go to grocery stores, Walmart, Dillon's, and that sort of thing. One theme would be to simplify the routes to reduce travel time. So, you know, like anything, we have a certain number of buses available. We have a certain number of drivers available, and that results in a certain number of trips that we can make. Right now, that could lead some routes to having a rider on the bus for up to an hour to get from point A to point B, and people really don't have that kind of time. Improve access to grocery stores. You know, we have had a lot of conversations as a community about food deserts and making sure that people have equitable access to groceries. So that's a key thing we're keeping in mind. And really, we just want to make the network, so all of the trips and all the destinations, adaptable and flexible, so that as needs and priorities change, so does the system. More frequent service is something that we have heard in our community engagement thus far. Later service, right now, the bus typically runs until about 6 or 7 in the evening, and that doesn't get a lot of people who work a later shift home. And then we have heard Sunday service. This is just a personal opinion of mine, but Sunday service gets tricky because we know that ridership on Saturday is half of the ridership that we see during the week. So we want to make sure that when we're making decisions, we're keeping in mind what we're seeing today, and maybe not those things that would be nice to have, because we need to maybe improve on what we already have first. But there could be a really great case for Sunday service as well. And then on the next slide, how can you help? Would really like everybody's input, riders and non-riders, about what we can do, what we can incorporate into our plans. So this QR code will take you directly to a survey that will be up for the remainder of May. It just opened today, and you guys are the first district advisory board that we're going to. So please share your thoughts on the survey, but share the survey with others. And I'm going to make a shameless plug for drivers. We are desperately short on bus operators and van operators. Bus operators require a CDL, van operators do not. So if you know anyone looking for work, Wichita Transit is a great place to work. Sometimes the schedule can be challenging because you really need to drive when people need the ride, right? It's not an 8 to 5 gig. But also anything that you want to tell us, we're open to hearing. WichitaTransitPlan.com is the project website. So there you'll see the state of the system report. If you're wondering, well, who is riding the bus and where are they going? That report will have information to help answer that question. And again, that QR code will take you to the survey. And on the next slide, we have a number of outreach activities planned for the month of May. Maybe the most convenient for this group is we will be back here in this room on May 7th for an open house, a come and go event for you to come ask questions and learn more information. And all of these activities and outreach events are on the website with the dates too. So it's like, well, I'd like to go to Oak Lawn Family Day. Well, that date will be on there. And that's what I have.
All right, any questions for Penny, Mike?
Has it been about 2 or 3 years for electric buses?
Thank you.
We have 11 electric buses.
I heard you were gonna get more. I hadn't paid attention.
We've made a commitment to going fully electric, and we have a number of bus replacements that are coming up in the next couple of years. We actually have to have 14 buses replaced by the end of 2028. The tricky part is we've made the commitment, but we need to identify the funding. So we're vigorously pursuing federal grants to help us replace our fleet. But the plan is to go fully electric because we see such great savings in operating costs, right?
All of the kilowatt hours and gallons of gas, so there is quite a bit of savings.
Oh, it's a significant amount. I can't remember so you're paying about $1 million for an electric bus versus $500,000 for a diesel bus. But the operating savings make up for it, I think, in 5 years. Don't quote me on that, but your payback period is really great because buses last between 12 and 14 years. So We have made that commitment. The difficult part with that is gonna be having space enough to charge a fully electrified fleet. Our current garage can't charge 50 electric buses. We are in a conversation to making sure the multimodal center, which you heard Steve from Public Works talk about earlier, has the ability to do some charging as well. But all of that is being incorporated into future plans.
How old is your oldest electric bus in service?
I think the first one came to us in 2019.
This might be more of a Mike question, but is there ever any discussion anymore about a countywide transit system as opposed to?
There's, two studies going on right now. One is, within the city of Wichita that we're doing. And then, WAMPA has a study going on right now about connectivity. Cause it is, we stop about a mile short of connecting to Derby. We stop short of connecting to Andover or Hayesville. So there is a study just to be able to kind of talk to them and see if there's a desire. And I think there is to connect them, just each side go that extra mile. So that way, Derby's bus service connects to ours. At the county en banc that we had a couple of weeks ago, that was also brought up to look at about just having a county transit service instead of just the Wichita, Derby, Gainesville, whatnot, connected service. So, when we get that study back, I think there will be some changes there. And if there's enough of will from city council and county, we may move forward with just the regional transit service. Which might be, if we, we're not doing, if we avoid the duplication, that just give us a little bit of extra funding to make sure that we can maybe run second shift, which is a big desire for many people who use transit and businesses out there, being able to have their workers make it second shift. So we're looking at it. That's what it's there.
One of the things I always appreciated so much about Mike was his willingness to experiment and try something different, just to see, like, going to a major employer and, transporting employees and with 259 kids. And I hope that we can continue to do that. There's people that are translating and really agree about the water department.
I never let you leave in the city. You never leave anything behind. But it's a good point. The partnerships are foundational, I think, to just not only the ridership, but that new generation of rider, right? Because Wichita has been so car dependent for so long. I think we're now seeing a shift in this younger generation where they're like, well, I don't want a car. You can go ahead and drive me where I need to go, right? But then they find out that the service doesn't get them where they want to go when they want to get there, right? And so I think partnerships are great, and especially with employers, right? And then the second shift still comes into play with that too.
You mentioned vans, are you transforming them into electric as well?
Yeah, we just got 12 new vans. One of the complications and challenges with electric is the charging. And there's only so many players in the electric game, and one of them just went bankrupt. And so we're just,
Georgetown?
Proterra.
Okay.
They were supposed to install our charging.
Well, the charging, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but we're very close. So, but they are, and that's still our commitment to make sure we.
They all on the same manufacturer, which is,
Proterra.
they did the buses as well.
The batteries specifically, and then they partner with someone for the shell.
The bodies, okay.
Yep.
Two things, I like the electric buses. I live in Porter Harry and Oliver. They're so much quieter. They smell so less.
Somebody ride a Harley.
And the second part is best stops. Okay, when they get on the bus, everyone discards everything they have on the ground. I live in Hilltop Manor. We have trash cans put out there that we clean up at least twice a week because there's so much debris. If you had a bus stop there with little cover stops, they had trash cans with them, that would relieve a lot of our mess.
Okay.
But we've been picking up the slack because it's just like a giant ashtray, and these are my grumbles. I don't mean to do all that, but that's just something I like to address.
We have some funding set aside for shelters, and we have 4 locations identified, and we have 1 more shelter. So I will take that information.
We need 2 of them, one on Oliver with the WSU bus goes right there just before you get to Harry, and the one in Harrynold right by AOK. That whole, both areas there, it's masses of people daily.
Yeah, that's a very high ridership
Yeah,
route.
yeah.
I like that, Jerry. Close mouth, don't get fed. Ariel, did you have some?
Thank you very much.
But I do like the quiet buses, and I do like.
Let's have a buffer.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Bill
Vinny.
Kelly, confirm, you look at it.
Enjoy your evening. Thank you. All right, moving on. We are going to let you guys provide comment for the 2024 to 2028 consolidated plan and 2024 to 2025 annual action plan.
Brian is online to that.
We're not gonna watch that video again, are we?
No, we
No.
were watching it in advance so that we did not have to watch it here.
I think Brian is ready to go when we are.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we won't put you all through that again, and so. But no, hopefully sending the video out in advance kind of helped you guys be able to watch it before and kind of come up with some comments for us. But my name is Ryan Tyree. I'm a management analyst with the Housing and Community Services Department. And I'm joined tonight by Erica Fambro and LaShondra Wells. They are with WFN Consulting. And they've been our consultants to this whole consolidated planning process. And so, like I said, they're joining me tonight to help take comments and questions. And we'll just go ahead and open it up to y'all. I know y'all had a chance to watch the presentation beforehand, so we'll turn it over to you guys.
Can you give a refresher? You do have it in your packet.
Yeah, I had a question on the decision to put more money into, I think from the ESG, you were going to take money away, put most of it in the other fund for the temporary shelters. I don't know. I don't know if we can ever have anything like a permanent, because we have not had affordable housing built in Wichita. If somebody can refute that and show me where affordable housing is, and affordable being at income levels that can be afforded by the at-risk communities. There's another term that you guys used for. Say again?
We didn't say anything.
Oh. There's the Ending Homelessness Act, the Biden administration put in, which is supposed to build hundreds of thousands of either build or repair hundreds of thousands of units that are affordable. I don't know if that has entered into your equations for what we can do about the situation here. But I wondered if I'm a little leery to be in support of temporary shelters, because it's just moving the problem around. It doesn't address fundamentals. The way our tax structures are set up, homes as something that can be bought and sold and treated as, just a way for people to amass wealth. I don't see like the affordable housing units in Wichita going up. So without fundamental changes in how money is being redistributed, it just seems like, and this is what is so annoying about the homeless, the winter shelter that we had this past time, is that it's an afterthought. Like even the people who are directly engaged didn't have any data or any way to foresee this. So taking money away from helping people with rents, some of the other emergency things, helping people stay in homes by taking care of some of those problems, or helping people get into homes by or into housing, whether it's an apartment or anything, by helping with that down payment, the deposit that they have to do. Seems to me more beneficial. And ultimately, it's the feds who are making decisions about how our money is spent. But it doesn't seem that we're doing very good at the local level, based upon the decisions that are made up there. And so I just think we ought to really help people that are in the houses and are going to get into the streets, or finding other ways to get housing besides these duplexes. I think we were kind of sold a bad bill of goods on the affordable housing, but there's a lot of information about that I don't know, but I'd like to know that there are units being put up that people can afford in the city proper.
I'll just give you kind of a brief overview. What I think I heard you say, you're wanting to know more about the emergency shelter component and why the city's putting more money into that and taking away money from rent assistance and things like that. Did I get that?
Correct.
Okay. So there are a couple of things here in the presentation. So you did see a shift from prevention dollars under the ESG program to the shelter component, because of the 3 grants that the city has available to them through HUD. The ESG grant is the one that does offer that as an option, like to be able to assist clients that are literally homeless or sleeping on the streets and things like that. But what you will also see is that in the home grant, and that was talked about in the presentation, in the home grant, there's a new program that the city is introducing called tenant-based rental assistance. And that program can do the exact same thing as the ESG program. So it's moving that service under a different grant program and still being able to service those folks who are immediately on the street. So it's kind of doing 2 things at once, and not having to pick and choose, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I'm gonna stick my head out. I turned everything off in the house, turned on my phone, listened to the audio for now. I don't understand. I thought I was well read, but I couldn't follow what exactly you're doing. This brief summary helps me more than listening for an hour. I'm not qualified to tell you people what to do. I just want you to do the right thing with the money you receive. Treat the people that you're dealing with fairly and in a proper way, because I hate it when I drive down the streets in the wintertime and see people that are pulling their stuff with a wagon and they're bundled up, and I wonder how they survive the night, let alone the day.
Right.
I'll often buy them an electric blanket and have them plug it in a quick trip so they can at least keep warm, but just keep offering us the information. And maybe after reading this 2 sheets, I'll have more to input if you want it later in the month or next month, but I really feel like a lot of it was over my head. And like I said, I read Time Magazine, I read The Week, I read the newspaper, and I think I'm aware of what's going on in the world. I just don't think I know exactly how the internal operations are with the money handling. And so just keep doing the best job you can from my viewpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And if you do think of anything that, in the coming days or week or whatever, just reach out to us and we can jot that down or help you understand anything that might pop up. So.
On slide 18 on the home repair, the program delivery, is that Is that, staff salaries?
Yeah, it goes towards like staff salaries, the administration of the program.
How many people, how many staff are currently, working in that section now?
I want to say 5 or 6.
$710,000 is not very much money. This is one of my favorite programs because I have seen up close and personal how it absolutely keeps low income people in their homes and it prevents homelessness. And it keeps people safe. So I don't know, but I know if you put more here, you gotta take it away from somewhere else. One of the things back in the dark ages when Brewer was mayor, when council would go to DC, some of the people they would visit were the HUD people. And of course, they would talk to our representatives about how we need CDBG income increased. And it seems like every year we take another huge hit. And it's just really frustrating because we have so many people in need. And my personal thought is, and I know people are gonna hate me for saying this, but with the home repair, you're dealing with a population that's functional, that just needs a little bit of help. When you keep pouring money into homelessness, unless you put them in a mental institution and give them mental health treatment and drug and alcohol treatment, you're wasting your money. So I just like to see the money spent where you get the biggest bang for your buck. Some speech.
Hello,
Used to be.
Go
I live
ahead.
I live at Hilltop Manor. We're a mutual owned corporation. And through what we just heard with the general fund, that's what we're working on. That comes through association fees. It's come to the point for rebuilding the buildings that are 80 years old and falling apart. We need money to do that. And the only way we can do that is by raising our dues. When we're doing that, we're effectively, some of the folks that live there 20, 30 years, we're gonna have to evict them because they can't make the fees. It's getting really more complicated all the time. We have salaries, we have maintenance, everything is out of control. And I've been trying to figure out how to do this myself. I'm at ends, what's ends. And it's way above my pay scale too. And it's just, I don't know what to do. And that's why I'm here in the first place. I met Mike. That's why I came here to do this. Because we need help. We need funding to rehab the buildings. By the time we've had people in them for 20, 30 years, they just completely not habitable again. They've got to be redone. That's another $40,000. Then to resell them, and our association fees are less than $300 a month, cheapest place in which I like to live. But if you had to spend, $30,000, now your fees would be $800 a month. So we're caught up in right in the middle here. I don't know how to fix it. Again, that's why I'm here. Help me somehow. We can do this.
Is that something you guys can look into and get with Jerry about any suggestions you have or anything you see that we could be, I don't know, applying for some grants or?
We have 400 units. Right now, we have about 380 of them inhabited. And we're having to raise dues, but it's summertime. We have trees to trim, we have yards to mow, we have fences and everything else.
Is due the same as rent.
It's association fee, which covers your taxes, insurance, or for the building, and then your roofs, hot water tanks, windows and stuff like that. We do general maintenance on.
But then the occupants own the unit.
The occupant owns the unit.
Okay.
So they're responsible for everything inside, but we pretty much take care of everything. The water, the plumbing, anything like that. Anything to keep it habitable. Electricity, gas, water, we take care of all of that. But they pay their own. Yep. It's like an HOA, but it's a corporation.
Yeah.
So you get to buy into it.
It's low income. It's low income.
Don't have to be, but it's become that way. But there's so many, I don't want to get into all of it. But people have bought separate units and goes on and on and on.
You go clear over you go clear over
Yeah, we're going from Lincoln to Harry, from just the other side of Pershing all the way home. We have 400 units there.
That's mostly by the fourplexes. I think.
Yeah, on the other side there, we have a Trumpian fence that divides us from Hilltop. And, I've been trying to tear that down for years too, so I mingle over there all the time. It's just,
When we moved here in the fifties, my granddad had a couple
Yeah.
duplexes closer.
and they've done a great job of cleaning up Hilltop over there. So now it's just all kind of.
It's an LMI,
What's an LMI?
what is it? LMI resident.
Oh, that's low and moderate income. So that means your income is less than 80% of the area income. So the average area income. So
Only one I couldn't decipher. Thank you.
yeah. So in order for people to be eligible for these programs, they have to earn income less than that amount.
Where do they go if they want to talk to somebody? Where's your office at?
Ryan?
Yeah, our office is located in City Hall, 455 North Main.
That LMI doesn't include, it doesn't account for any debt that those people may be in as well. So even if they have a disposable income of $3 a month, they won't be considered. Yeah.
No, as long if their gross income is higher than that. So it is based on gross income. And that's really just the kind of only way that you could make sure that it's fair across the board.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's also gonna be the problem with my corporation. Some are on social security, some have jobs. So they're so buried. It's not just one
Yeah.
demographic. We're multicultural. We have everybody living out there. So we have
Right.
rich people and everywhere in between. So.
Right. And that's what these programs are designed for, people who have limited income, to be able to assist them with various needs and to kind of even that playing field for them. So that's kind of how this works. And if any of the folks that are I believe you said you're in a cooperative, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, if they want to reach out to Ryan to see if they're eligible for some of the rehab services, they're more than welcome to do that. But it would be on an individual basis. Their program is, it's individual.
Because the corporation as a whole doesn't work that way. So individuals, because I've taken many members of Dear Neighbor and got their rent adjusted so we're able to keep up, so they don't get hit with late fees because their check comes on the 15th. Little stuff like that. As a whole group, we need pretty much rehabbing the buildings so we can resell them to put someone else into them and keep the cost down. But
Gotcha.
we just raised the due to $25, and I'm here for next meeting. It's going to be chaos. And
Wow.
Should have been $50.
Wow.
All right.
Any other?
Questions or comments?
Sorry, I've been to.
No, that's what you're here for. So you're here. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out and helping us with this and the 58-minute long video. I'm sure they're just gonna replay it over and over and over again until it sinks in. So I thank you guys for all your hard work. You guys are the one of the busiest, hardest working departments we have on the city. I don't envy your guys' job at all. So thank you guys for everything you do, and I hope you guys have a good evening and stay safe from all the storms and tornadoes we're gonna be getting over the next couple.
Yeah, y'all definitely stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, so now we move on to board agenda, which we have not appointed a vice chair yet. If it is the will of the board here, we can we can do this tonight. We can put it on for next time to see if there's more people here, or we can go ahead and again, just do this now. It would be nice to have a vice chair, so I'm not running the meetings into the ground like I did tonight.
Well.
The ground is not your perfect.
Yeah, you guys.
You can't blame everything on her.
I try. I will as long as I can, so. So I'm not sure, what the will of the board is here tonight. You guys wanna have a discussion real quick?
Do we have a chairman that's still active or is he just?
He is out of town tonight. He was sick last time.
Tony
So-
told us many months ago he would be out for this meeting. Last meeting was.
Okay,
like,
okay, that's
got
fine.
sick.
I didn't see his name. It's not.
Oh, if I know someone's not gonna be here, I don't put a spot there.
Yeah.
Right, that feels awkward. Everyone else will be like, where is Tony?
I think we ought to have a lady.
I think we should wait till we have more people.
Well, that's true too. How
We
many
have
more are we short?
We are short 4 members currently.
Oh, but yeah, maybe we ought to.
Five.
5? What am I?
Maya.
Maybe 4 voting members, I
I
guess.
make a motion, we postpone it until next meeting, and we encourage everybody to get out so we can select vice chair.
All right, is there a second? Second. Any other discussion on this topic, Rich?
Yeah, what happens anymore next time?
Then we do it then.
We just keep delaying and delaying and delaying.
Then we appoint you.
Oh, Lord, no,
Well, that wouldn't actually help. Take care of it.
no.
Why? But you gotta ask me.
Maybe we can do it next month.
Yeah, I think that's the motion on the floor, so. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor of next month? All opposed? The ayes do have it. We will postpone this vote and encourage everybody to show up for the elections next month. All right, the next thing is, council member agenda here, council member announcements, so. First off, I'd like to thank Ariel, her first DAB meeting tonight. She comes to us from around the South Broadway corridor. She's, reached out. She really just wants to be active in the community and getting some, good things done around here. She's already had discussions with Beck on a few things, and have you chatted with the neighboring movement yet?
I have not, because I was waiting to see if maybe you were gonna connect.
Okay.
I guess that was my understanding.
Okay,
But-
that will lead me to my next announcement here. Next Saturday, we chatted about a little earlier, they have Neighbor Fest. The neighboring movement and Karen Crastens has done a lot of work down on South Broadway trying to activate Lincoln Park. They will have Neighbor Fest as a 10 or 9.
Is Lincoln Park by the
On
park?
the 11th, it
It's,
is 9 AM to 11 AM
Yep.
in Lincoln Park.
and it's right next to the firefighter museum, so you can go. They will have free pancakes, I believe.
I believe so.
Yep, so free food.
Whoa,
There we go. Yeah, that's the,
from
that's
9 to
the
11,
hook
say
right
9
there.
to 11?
Yes.
9 to 11.
9 to 11.
So, the neighboring movement will be there. That'll be an excellent opportunity to chat.
Right down the street.
Yeah, they try to make this a yearly thing. I think this is year 2. So, and we will probably be out there the day before trying to clean up the park and pick up some trash. So if anybody's looking for some community service, please come out and help, out there as well. But I hope to see all you guys out there. And the last thing I want to talk about, there hasn't been too much going on at council. It's the beginning of budget season, so there's a lot of chatter here and there about that, and we've had some good discussion this evening. Please reach out to me with your concerns, things that you'd like to see, the city emphasize. Again, public safety is essentially number 1 across the board. And then nobody likes the street, you know, and we have good streets in a lot of areas of the town and of our district. But the thing is everybody passes at least one crummy street a day. So if you pass one crummy street a day, it's gonna stick with you. And we are doing our best. We have been catching up on a lot of the deferred maintenance on the bigger roads and main arterials. So we have a couple more, you know, North Harry's a little shaky, hydraulic in a lot of places, Broadway. But we're working to get more into the neighborhoods too. And in our district, there's some issues there because a lot of our neighborhood streets are concrete, which are about twice as expensive to repair as asphalt. So we're working to, again, make sure that we get into the residential areas a little more than we have in the past. We're catching up on a lot of things, so I can't blame everything on Henry. I can't blame everything on past councils as well, but I will blame this on past councils for not putting the money in that we should have to maintain our streets the whole time. So we will continue to work on that. The last thing I did want to talk about here real quick though is the MAC and the homeless situation that we have right now. Since the emergency shelter shut down, we have a larger number of people living on the streets, living in camps than we used to. And we are also handcuffed in a lot of ways by some federal regulations as far as shelter space available, can we move people, especially women. If there's a woman who is camping and we do not have space in a non-congregate shelter for women, by federal law, we cannot move that woman from the tent. So there's a lot of things that we are facing, but we've been working since I got on council been working on the multi-agency center, which is a large homeless shelter. And again, to your point, Rich, we can't just rely on shelters. But this one will also include services for mental health care, addiction counseling and therapy, and try and pry those people off the best we can. It'll also have non-congregate shelter space, so we will be able to enforce campsites, camping laws. And hopefully there's going to be an affordable or transitional housing piece as well to get people into housing, get them stabilized, and then eventually they'll be able to move on into regular housing. But that's the thing is we got to give them that break. We got to let them catch up on their bills. We got to get them stabilized before we do that. So it's not just a solution of just building more shelters, but how do we effectively move people into permanent housing? I've talked about this a lot. This is also based on the Haven of Hope in San Antonio. I was lucky enough at a conference at the end of last year to run into the vice mayor of San Antonio, who the Haven of Hope is in her district. So woe to her, because for about 2.5 hours, I sat there and pestered her and annoyed her, asking every dang question I could about the operation of the center. But this is what we're focusing on. We put a significant amount of our own funding into this. We're working with county on some additional funding. We were hoping to get some help from the state legislature. Unfortunately, that did not pan out, but we do what we can with what we have. And I can't get into a lot of details because there's a lot of balls in the air right now, but one aspect of this is also getting the providers, the people who are out here currently doing the work, all on one page, all moving in the same direction. We've had some good momentum on that one as well. So that way people aren't duplicating services. We don't have 4 groups focusing on men's shelter and only one on women. So we're working that out and we are really close, and I need to knock on some wood, just to not jinx us here, but we are really close and there's a lot of good things going on right now that I think this thing will be done and up and operational to some degree by fall. If not winter, for sure winter. We have a couple of properties that we have lined out, we're eyeballing right now. Again, I can't get too deep into any of that for obvious reasons, because once I hear that, the price goes up or, so there will be some news coming out here in the next couple of months in regard to the MAC, the multi-agency center. Also how it operates with the mental health facility that's going in Southwest Wichita, working with ComCare. It's going to be a game changer for this community. And I know things look a little worse than they usually are right now with the number of people we do have on the streets. I'm very mindful of that. And the risks that come with a lot of that. But again, by the end of this year, we will be able to help the people that want help. And we will be able to fully move the bad elements on out of our community. So I just wanted to give an update on that.
I have a question on
Yes, ma'am.
Are they making arrangements for like a longer term housing situation for these folks?
That the transitional housing, I think, is 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we would see people over and over, they get back on their medication, they'd house them for 3 months, they do great, they'd shove them back out. And then it's just a vicious cycle. They need for it to change cognitively. They need 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
with the case manager and stable housing.
I'm glad you brought up case manager, because that's gonna be part of it as well. Just making sure that we have the supportive services to truly get them stabilized, because you're absolutely right, it's, you know, if it's a month thing, people just, they miss it one time or two times, and it's the whole thing over again, so making sure that we do the best we can actually get them stabilized.
That's great. Good job.
Yeah, what I started to say earlier, and I didn't mean to be out of line, was, are you in communication with Houston? Houston's in the news here all of a sudden about the great job they've done about reducing homelessness almost 63% because they concentrated on housing as a priority, and once they get people into stable housing, then they worry about employment, health, stuff like that. They're not all trying to do, I'm not sure exactly what their program is. Are they sharing if people?
We had a housing conference 2 weeks ago that I spoke at, and that was part of the presentation. It's somebody federally from HUD talking about that specific program that they have in Houston too. That's something that our housing director, Sally, she's been emphasizing from the very start. We don't just, you know, we're not about shelter. Shelter's plain white. It's moving from one space to the next. Housing has to be the solution that we're shooting for.
Fortunately, Houston had a lot of empty buildings available on their side, so that helped them get initially over the hump because they had space that they could occupy or turn into individual housing.
Yeah, and it's tough with a lot of people look at empty buildings and why don't you put it there? Why don't you turn? There's a lot of regulations that come with turning it into housing. You got an environmental reports this, that you got, you know, when looking for the shelter, the emergency shelter, I didn't realize you have to have one bathroom for every 20 people, I believe. So it's, you know, that it makes sense, but at the same time, it's just additional limitations to where you can actually put some. So,
well, as long as you're exploring all your options.
yeah, that definitely is a main component of what we're trying to do.
I think housing is a solution for the part of the homeless population that is somewhat self-sufficient. With better healthcare, somehow more accessible, let's just say more accessible healthcare, maybe some of these issues could be avoided later in life. The mentally ill will ultimately be released back to the streets unless they're criminally, you know, and people with drug addictions will go in and out of shelters. And I think what things that I see, I don't know how much of that is here, but just the general lack of optimism for a future, the general malaise in the younger people who are, I mean, SOL in a lot of ways about their future. So.
No, I hear you.
It's scary. It's scary. It's hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk about because, you know, like I said at the meeting, you know, we're being asked to make decisions that are ultimately they're not very good. You know, either way is not really great because you build affordable housing and then you still have this population that don't have health care, that can't get their brains treated, right? I mean, that's the thing about wind, and James Roseborough really brought it home, was safety. Safety is the foundation of a quality of life. He says that about neighborhoods, but it's true about us too, right? And being safe as a human being is being able to navigate your life without drugs and free of mental illness and free of violence, right? And those are things that, you know, they just seem to be increasing everywhere.
It's kind of the same thing I was looking at too. One of our board members just ran, and on his little letter, he wrote down, "This is our home, not just a cheap place to stay." You have to create the mindset, because people that take care of their house, mow their yard, yada, yada, it is their home. And you look right next door where all the debris is, and they're not paying their dues. And those ones, most of them, to the chain, have been grandma's house, mama's house, and now they've kind of inherited it. Some of them are not even approved members, and these are the ones we have to weed out. But where do they go? And that's what's gonna end up being you guys' burden, because we ain't gonna have no choice but to put them out. So that's just kind of a heads up too. And it breaks my heart to do that, but, the one that appreciates his house needs to be safe and secure and needs to take it as home, not as a cheap place to live.
Right, there's a lot of moving parts with the homeless population, and everybody can have like a perspective on it, and the truth is, everybody's perspective is right.
Well, grandma's got their kids living in sheds because they have nowhere else to go to. Yeah, so, you know, and then, but they may start a fire this winter and burn down their woods. Yeah, so we just don't know. This is what I play with all the time.
I hear you, bro, I hear you.
Well, and then your health issues.
Yeah.
I'm on Medicare. I just went into the donut. I had medication I wasn't paying for, which I was thankful for, but one of them went up to $500 a month. How do you afford that? And then my Jardiance is $40 a month. It went up to $500 or $600 a month. There's no way I can pay $1,000 a month for maintenance.
And then your landlord wants to charge you $35 extra a month because you're late on your fees. And then you just can't win. You just go straight down the tubes.
Luckily, I own my home. I could get a short-term loan to get me through the donut. But I still have to pay that back.
Donut hole's a bitch. Well,
I said, I only paid $40 a month last month. They said, well, you fell in the donut. It sounds about us.
Right, and there's a lot of bigger issues than what I deal with on a daily basis. I have influence in this too, but we can do what we can with what we have on the city level, and that's what we're gonna be doing.
And I had a knee replacement. If I wouldn't have had insurance, Medicare, it would have cost $200,000 to replace my knee. I'm thinking about doing my right one. But I gotta see how this donut affects me.
Yeah.
Mike, yeah,
I see what's the museum out, aircraft museum? No.
aviation.
Yeah, they got their signs up, or at least at the
They
corner
did?
of George Washington and Mount Vernon.
Okay, yeah, let me
Yeah.
double check.
I didn't mean to extend.
I
the
appreciate you
meeting.
bringing that up. That is something I should
They
announce.
put those up just today.
I just saw it today. I don't know how long it's been up.
good.
It's kind of a bronze with white letter, I think.
That's one of my favorite roads, George Washington Boulevard and McLean.
Yeah.
I love them
Yeah,
both,
I love the plane.
except where they put the arena, where the ball
No kidding, isn't that a mess?
Thank you.
pisses me.
Oh, my God.
Somebody.
I was so upset.
On the 22nd at 2 p.m., we'll be having a ceremony. We have overnamed, we had the presentation. The aviation or the Air Capital Boulevard, George Washington Boulevard will be overnamed. So it'll be an honorary name of Air Capital Boulevard. 22nd at 2 p.m. So if you guys want to come, I think they're bringing an airplane down, some sort of airplane down, George Washington Boulevard. A little bit of a parade down there, a celebration.
The C-130.
I think it kicks off at
Still have to wait.
Lincoln. I believe it kicks Lincoln and George Washington Boulevard.
Think about the 402 building, right south from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll,
Well, seriously.
yeah, we'll put it out on our page just to give more info, but,
It'll be fun.
yeah, please come out, and again, it's always a good celebration with Mike, right?
Yeah.
Except without the beer, so, sorry, guys. Maybe Jerry will bring some
I don't
PBR.
drink that much, I really do. I prefer some Maker's Mark anyway.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, I will,
I don't know if you read about it or whatever, you know, the old Sonic home, they had to give that up. I'm not sure what the name of the veterans group is, it's not the VFW. But they are, it's in the news as a Masonic Lodge. There is a lodge at the home, but I think it's more than that. That they're providing, they're working on making that a place to, I hate to use the word shelter, to provide a place for homeless veterans.
Talking about the Sonic home.
Masonic home, yeah.
They do. established a legion.
Yeah, American Legion, that's it, thank you.
Legion there.
That's what I was looking for, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, if you want to go annoy your neighbors, District Four is having a breakfast at the Osage Rec Center starting this coming Saturday at 9:30, 21 West 31st. And then if you want to annoy your neighbors even further away, Sarah Lopez's CAP meeting is at high school library on Tuesday, May the 7th at 6 p.m.
Are the CAD meetings as fun as our bad meetings?
Yeah, it's county instead of,
Yeah, are they as fun and entertaining?
no, they're all straight laced and horrible. I don't know why I go.
How did District Four get back into Osage?
Do what, sir?
How did District Four get into, back into Osage Park?
I don't know, you have to ask Dalton.
Because my neighborhood was in there for a long time.
Okay.
And we got kicked out of there when some guy got a lease on the building for 99 years. For
Is
best.
that not over behind the school there? Okay. All right, because whatever, I'm sorry, I didn't, yeah.
Dalton must have pulled some strings.
The board member, the guy from the board that died, was on the,
Ron?
huh?
Ron?
Yeah, Ron Tracy.
Mhm.
His neighborhood association,
Are
he
we
lived
done?
there.
Mine,
It's yours?
yeah.
Okay, well, I go over there for pancake feet or whatever.
Yeah.
No motion.
Okay, well,
All right, do I have a motion to
Don't
adjourn?
move.
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor?
I,
All of us stay here. All right, we'll see you, Rich.
see you guys.